All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something pretty wild today, a concept that's totally flipping the script on what it means to be human in this digital world. This really gets to the core of who we are.
So, this is part 7 of our 8-part series on the liquid information framework. And after all the talk about systems and data, today we're turning the lens on the biggest piece of the puzzle, ourselves.
Okay, so think about this for a second. How do you see your own identity? Is it like a solid statue, carved in stone, something fixed, stable with one main story? Or is it something completely different? Maybe something more fluid, constantly adapting, kind of like a process that's always in motion.
For most of history, our sense of self was pretty straightforward. It was like a big, heavy anchor. It kept us grounded, gave us a really solid idea of who we were and where we fit in.
I mean, just think about it. Your identity was built from these really stable, slow-moving pieces. Where you were from, your family's culture, your job, your role in the community, that was you. It all added up to one clear life story. And to change any of that, man, that wasn't something you did in a lifetime. It could take generations.
But then, everything started to speed up, a lot. Information began to flow like never before. And that solid ground, that anchor of identity, it started to melt, to liquefy.
And this slide really shows you what that looks like. It's this insane compression of time. Think about it. Change that used to take generations for a society to absorb, then started happening in decades, then just a few years. And now it's happening in real time. It's constant. And our sense of self, we're right in the middle of it trying to keep up.
And this quote really nails the core idea. The source material is basically saying, look, identity isn't that fixed story we write about ourselves anymore. It's more like fluid code. Just think of that. Code that's being rewritten in real time by every bit of information and feedback that hits us.
Okay, so if we're not that solid statue anymore, what are we? What does this new liquid human actually look like? Let's break down the anatomy of it.
All right, first up is this idea of continuous updating. So instead of thinking of yourself as a finished product, like a book that's already written, the liquid self is more like an open system. It's a process. It's constantly evolving, constantly optimizing with new info. Kind of like your phone's operating system, right? Always getting updates to work better. But okay, I know what you might be thinking. There's this common fear, right? That if we rely on all this tech, if we're this connected, we're just outsourcing our brains. Are we making ourselves dumber? Are we getting weaker by offloading all our thinking? Is that really what's going on here?
Well, the source material argues the complete opposite. It introduces this really cool concept, neo-symbiotic cognition. And the idea is that our ability to act, our human agency, it isn't shrinking at all. It's expanding. Think about it. When you use your phone for directions, you're not dumber. You've just freed up all that mental energy you would have spent on navigating to, actually notice the world around you or think about your destination. The line between our mind and our tools is blurring, and it's making us a more powerful, combined system.
So what you get is what the paper calls a distributed self, and it's super flexible. Those old school labels like your job title or your nationality, they don't define you in the same way. You can be one person on Twitter, another on LinkedIn, and yet another with your gaming friends, and it all feels coherent. The source actually has a term for this, multi-self coherence. It's this ability to hold all these different identities without feeling like you're falling apart. And get this, the research actually suggests this makes us happier and more creative.
Okay, so let's zoom out. Why does any of this matter? This whole shift to a liquid self. Is this good for us? Is this an advantage as we head into the future? Well, according to the source, this isn't random at all. It's actually a critical evolutionary step. Being liquid is like a new superpower for our species. It's what lets us handle the insane complexity of the world today. It's what helps us adapt to constant, rapid change. It unlocks creativity, and yeah, as we just mentioned, it seems to be good for our well-being in this crazy, volatile world. So look, the key takeaway here is that our self isn't being lost. It's not dissolving into nothing. It's just changing its form. It's being redefined. Who we are is becoming this emergent property, something that just arises from this constant fluid dance between our biology, our tech, and our culture. We're becoming these dynamic, adaptive systems perfectly built for a much more complex reality.
And that leaves us with one last, pretty deep question to chew on. If your identity isn't a destination, not something you finally figure out, but instead it's just this continuous flowing process, what does that mean for who you are becoming right now? That's a huge question, and something to really think about. Thanks so much for tuning into this explainer. Now, if you want to go deeper, and I mean really get into the weeds on this, the full framework, the experiments, and all the extensions are detailed in the paper, which you'll find linked right below.